Hey there and welcome. Today we are diving into the secret language of data. You ever get that feeling that companies know what you want, maybe even before you do? Well, it's not magic, I promise you. It's all about taking millions, even billions of numbers and finding a compelling story inside. And we're going to break down the two main ways they do it. Think about it. Every single click, every purchase, every minute of every day, we're all creating this absolute tsunami of data. It's just everywhere. But by itself, data is really just noise, right? The real question, the one that entire industries are built on, is this: what is the story hidden inside all of that information? And that is exactly what we're here to figure out. So here's our game plan. First up, we're going to meet the storyteller, the data analyst. Then we'll get into their two most powerful tools, what I like to call the mirror, which is for seeing what's happening right now, and the telescope, for peering into the future. And finally, we'll see exactly how analysts use that telescope to make some incredibly smart predictions. All right, so who are these people who can translate all this data? Let's bring on the hero of our story, the data analyst. You could think of them as this vital bridge, connecting a massive flood of raw information to a single, smart decision.
You know, a data analyst's job is really split between two different worlds. On one hand, they've got to be able to describe what the data is showing them right now. But where they really shine, their real power, is in making inferences, basically educated guesses about what that data could mean for the future. They're kind of part historian, part fortune teller, and their main goal is to help all of us make smarter choices by showing us the story that was hiding in the numbers all along.
So to do all of that, an analyst needs a toolkit, and their number one most fundamental tool is statistics. The first type is what we're calling the mirror, and it's exactly what it sounds like. It's all about looking at the data you already have and describing precisely what you see. No guesswork, no predictions, just the facts. And here's the official name for it: Descriptive Statistics. This is just the practice of boiling down data to make it easy to understand. So picture a retail manager looking at last month's sales numbers. They'd use charts and graphs to see which products were the most popular, or they might calculate the average, or the mean, sale amount. They aren't trying to predict next month's sales yet. They're just getting a perfectly clear picture of what already happened. That's the mirror hard at work. Okay, but looking at the past is really only half the story, isn't it? What if you want to predict the future? Or what if you need to understand a group that's so massive, like, say, all the voters in a country, that you could never possibly talk to every single one of them? For that job, a mirror just isn't going to cut it. You need a telescope.
And this slide, this right here, really gets to the heart of it all. The mirror, or descriptive statistics, asks a pretty simple question: what does my data look like right now? But the telescope, inferential statistics, asks a much more powerful one. What can this small slice of data tell me about the huge, unseen world out there? It's really the difference between reporting today's news and forecasting tomorrow's weather.
So, how in the world does this telescope even work? Well, it's based on this incredibly powerful but simple idea. Since it's pretty much impossible to survey every person in a city or test every single product that comes off an assembly line, we just don't. Instead, we take a small, manageable sample, and by studying that small group very carefully, we can make a surprisingly accurate inference about the entire population.
Let's just lock in that term really quick. The population is everyone or everything you're interested in studying. It's the whole shebang. For instance, if you're studying the biggest companies in America, your population would be all 500 companies on the Fortune 500 list, the whole group. And the sample, of course, is that much smaller group that you actually get your hands on and study. So instead of trying to interview all 500 CEOs from our last example, you might choose a random, representative sample of just 50. The insights you get from those 50 are then used to make an educated guess about all 500. Pretty clever, right? So now that we have our sample, what kind of guesses can we actually make with it? Okay, so when an analyst is looking through this telescope, what are they actually looking for? What kind of predictions are they making? Well, it usually boils down to two main things: making very specific estimations and testing out claims to see if they're true. This is where that educated guess gets really specific. On one side, you've got estimation. This is all about trying to find an exact value. Like, for example, predicting that next year's sales revenue will be exactly $3,284,500. Super precise. But on the other side, you have hypothesis testing. This isn't about finding a number at all. It's about being a mythbuster. You take a claim, like this new marketing campaign will increase sales, and you test it to see if it's true or false. One gives you a target to aim for, the other gives you a simple yes or no answer.
And really, that's the story of statistics in a nutshell. You have the mirror, that's descriptive stats, to understand the world as it is right now. And you have the telescope, inferential stats, to predict what's just around the corner, either by estimating a value or by testing a claim. It's an unbelievably powerful toolkit for turning all that noise into real knowledge. Which kind of leaves us with one final thought. Now that you know how it works, if you could use data to predict just one thing about the future, what would it be?